In this video, I am going to show you 3 games, model games played by Robert James Fischer, one of the greatest chess players of all time, in the Evans Gambit opening. Fischer was able to create some devastating and powerful attacks in this opening. Hopefully, after watching these games, you will have a clear reference point on the ideas and the strategies that you can use the next time you play this opening. So without wasting any further time, let's dive right into it. Fischer, in the first game, Fischer is playing with the white pieces and his opponent is Rubinstein, and we get the starting position of the Evans Gambit after the move b4. Now just very quickly, I'll explain the idea of Evans Gambit. White basically sacrifices a pawn to take control of the center and to develop his pieces very quickly. Okay, so after bishop a5, Fischer plays d4, we have captures, and now Fischer plays the move short castle. Now pay attention to this. Before Fischer is going to begin any active operation against the black king, he gets his king to safety. Now that the king is safe, now he is ready to develop all his other pieces and get them into action. Okay, black plays dc3. Now generally in the opening, you don't want to fall very much behind in development, otherwise you could get in some serious trouble, as it happens to black in this game. Fischer now starts to take over the initiative. First he goes queen b3, keeping an eye on this pawn. Now black plays the move queen to e7, keeping this pawn protected. Fischer now captures the pawn on c3 back. Black develops his knight and black is ready to castle. Okay, black just needs one move and after castling he will be safe and fine. However, Fischer stops black from doing that. Can you guess how? So Fischer plays a very powerful move here, knight to d5. Centralizing his knight, attacking the queen. Black has no time to castle. Black has to take back, but after black takes back, he plays e into d5. And now notice, this e file has opened up since there is no pawn on this e4 square. This knight is attacked at the same time, so once again black doesn't have time to castle. The black knight goes to e5. Now Fischer captures that knight, queen captures. This rook is attacked. Black is ready to castle next. However, Fischer plays a very nice move, bishop b2, attacking the queen. And once again, black doesn't have time to castle. He has to save the queen, so the queen has to run away. And in this position, Fischer finds a very nice way to deflect this queen from the square, because from here the queen is defending the g7 pawn, which could prove to be an important cover if black is able to castle. So first he plays h4, forces the queen to capture there, and he gobbles the pawn on g7, hitting the rook. The rook runs away and attacks the bishop. And now Fischer plays rook e1 check. He's not afraid to sacrifice the rook, because now what he has is a very strong attack against the black king. Like, he has this bishop, he has this rook in the attack, and this king is really running out of very good squares. After king d8, Fischer has a very killing blow, which I'll show you. This didn't happen in the game. So after rook e1 check, black directly went king to d8, and now Fischer was able to close out the game with a very powerful move. Can you find it? So Fischer played the move queen to g3, and that's it. Black resigned in this position, because this queen, if you take here, you're gonna end up like this, getting checkmated by a bishop and the rook. Beautiful checkmate, isn't it? So this was a very powerful game by Fischer in the Evans Gambit. Now I'll show you another game by Fischer in the Evans Gambit. We have e4 e5, the starting position of the Evans Gambit. Captures c3, the bishop drops back. d4, captures, castles. Once again we follow, Fischer plays the exact same move order that he played in the previous game. Black captures the pawn, Fischer gets his queen to b3, strikes this pawn, and now black plays the move queen to f6. He is defending this pawn. How would you play if, let's say, you are playing with the white pieces? Think about it. So Fischer now finds a very powerful move to open up the position and to start to harass this queen on f6. He plays the move e5, hitting at the queen. Black's queen is running out of good squares. Like, if you go to queen e7, this time you can even play bishop g5, and the queen will consistently get attacked. So what black decided to do is to go knight e5. But after this move, he simply lost. Fischer found a very simple way to win the knight by just spinning it with the move rook to e1. And once again, you see this king stuck in the middle of the board has become a target, and since white was able to develop his pieces so fast, so quickly, white is able to take advantage of it. We have rook e1, knight goes to e7, Fischer gobbles one knight, and now Fischer is already a piece up. However, he still has to be a little careful because this pawn, there are some threats here along this diagonal, and black gets his king to safety. Fischer wins another piece, but now the pawn comes to c2, knight comes to d2. We have captures, rook e8. There is some pin here. Fischer decides to resolve the tension on the e file, and after this he slowly was able to win the c2 pawn and eventually went on to win the game. He went rook c1 and later was able to capture this pawn. Another model game in the Evans Gambit opening, we have b4, the pawn sacrifice, and we reach this position. Now instead of taking back this pawn, this time black decides to play the move d6 in the game. Fischer plays the move queen to b3, once again attacking this pawn. Black defends it, and now Fischer is able to make a very nice move that really opens up the position for his pieces to get into the attack. Can you find it? White to play. So Fischer now plays the move e5, sacrificing a pawn. However, now what he's able to do is that he's able to play bishop a3. Remember this maneuver. Very fine move. e5 captures bishop a3. And from a3, this bishop is able to take control of this entire diagonal. And what that means is after black moves his queen, let's say, it's gonna be impossible for for the black king to castle here as long as this bishop is able to control the f8 square. Remember, you can't pass through a square you can't castle through a square that is controlled by the enemy. So bishop a3 comes, and like it's gonna be for a very long time, this black king is gonna be stuck in the middle of the board, giving Fischer enough time to get his other pieces into the attack. So bishop a3, we have cd4 now. Black wants to keep this e file closed, otherwise this would end the game very quickly. Knight e5. We have knight at 6. For those of you who are wondering what happens after this, white takes, and this whole attack is just too fast for black, and the king is stuck in a very awkward position. So black can't take back here, which is why after knight e5, black played knight at 6, protecting this pawn while at the same time developing the piece. Now Fischer captured the knight, attacks the bishop drops back, and now Fischer makes a very calm move, getting one more piece into the attack. And this is something very important. You don't want to be carried away by playing with just one piece in the attack. You want to get as many pieces as possible into the attack. So Fischer plays the move knight c3, developing a piece, and also remember he's connecting the rooks with this move. He's not worried about losing pawns because as long as this king stays in the middle of the board, most of his sacrifices are going to be justified. So bishop d7, knight e4 hitting the queen f4, and now knight to c5. Now once again this king can't run because right now there is no control over f8, but black would lose this d7 bishop. So after this knight to c5, we have captures, and now the bishop captures back so that the bishop can continue to look at this f8 square and stop the black king from castling. Rook e1 is a dangerous threat and it becomes a reality. Anyway, check, king moves, and there's a free pawn on f7, so Fischer grabs it. Knight goes to d6, and we have bishop e6. Exchanging of this defender near the king. This is something you can do whenever you're attacking, and let's say your opponent has a key defender that is controlling some important squares. It's okay if you can exchange it off with your piece. Sometimes you can even sacrifice it. Sometimes you can even sacrifice a piece to get rid of that defender, but if it's possible, you can even exchange off the defenders. That's fine. Rook e8 was played here. Fischer played g3, kicked off the queen, and we have captures, and now there is a pin on this diagonal, so Fischer takes advantage of that with the move d5. Right now this pawn is threatened. Knight goes to b5, and Fischer makes a very nice move here, rook to d1, with the idea to go dc6 check and open another file against the black king. The king goes back to c8. Fischer gives this check, king drops, dc6 check, knight comes in the middle, and it's almost game over. All you have to do right now is to get rid of the defenders around the king, which is what Fischer does. Takes, queen goes to b7, and black resigns. There is a threat of this checkmate. At the same time, there is a threat of capturing the rook.